Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. I've been going over the online PDF textbook, AppInventor2, Create Your Own Android Apps by Wolber, Abelson, Spertus, and Looney. And I've just begun pretty much, done one lecture so far for Chapter 10, the MakeQuizTakeQuiz. So it says here we can build the user interface in Figure 10.2 by dragging out the components listed. So let's double check that we've got all the stuff that's shown here. Table arrangement. Again, I named these. Looks like that's okay. So this question answers with labels, that is the one that's underneath here. So that's the only thing it looks like I've goofed up. So I'm going to change the name of this. I'm going to rename this to Quiz Questions and Answer label. And the one that's down below it that's empty is going to be called Questions Answer label. Everything is there. Set the text in label 1 to question, the text in label 2 to answer, done. Text of label 3 to quiz questions and answers, done. Set the font size of label 3 to 18 and make it bold. So, done. I get this, I made it 20, but they wanted 18. They got it. Set the hint of question text to enter a question and the other one to enter an answer. So enter a question and this one will be enter an answer. All right. Move them into their table arrangement, already done. If you look at the properties for TinyWebDB, and let's do that. So if we go to TinyWebDB, which is our non-visible component right here, okay? Notice there's one, service URL. It says, notice it has a property, service URL, which I just showed you. This property specifies a web database service specifically configured to work with a TinyDB component where your shared data will be stored. By default, it refers to one that's set up by MIT App Inventor, and there it is, http://appinv tinywebdb.appspot.com. We will use this default service in our tutorial. Now, notice what they say there. It is important to know that anyone using App Inventor will be storing information to this same web service. And the data your app puts there will be seen by all, and it's not impossible that it could be overridden. Written. So the idea is this is for testing only because it's easy and it's free. All right? And it's also easy and free to configure your own service, which is what we'd want to do. And I believe that they talk about that on page 368 in the book. So we'll get to that a little bit later. So you've already seen this. And again, that's exactly what was shown right here. All right. So it's time to go and add behaviors to our components. As with the President's Quiz app, the first thing we want to do is define some global variables. So we'll want question list and answer list. So let's do those right away. So again, variables. In fact, it's probably a little faster. So let's come in here and what is this again? It's question list and answer list. So question list, and we will initialize that to create empty list. Now let's take and duplicate this, and we'll make this one answer list. and also to create empty list. All right, so we now have both of these done. The lists are defined with a create empty list box instead of a make list box, because with the Make Quiz and Take Quiz, all data will be created by the app user. In other words, as it says, this will be dynamic user-generated data where you'll be able to add, modify, or delete questions or answers, or both, as you're going through. The first behavior you'll build is for handling the user's input. Specifically, when the user enters a question and answer and clicks submit, you'll use add items to list blocks to update the question list and the answer list. The block should appear as shown right here. All right, so it's going to be for our submit button. And for now, at least, I'm just going to move these down here. All right, and we're going to put in some code for our submit button, in particular when clicked. All right, so when it's clicked, what do we want to have happen? Well, we want to add items to lists twice, and then we want to set something. What we want to set is our question answers label text. I'm just kind of creating the framework, so to speak. I'm getting the red triangle because I've got a bunch of my slots here that have not been filled in yet. So I want to get global question list and a question text.text. And again, this will be question text.text and answer text.text. All right. We also want to set our questions answer label text. And we're going to have a join in here. Hopefully this is really starting to make some sense to you. All right, and in that join we're going to have what? 3 different components, so we'll need to add one. All right, and what we want in here is get global questions text followed by, it looked like a colon, followed by get global answer. All right. So as the author says right here, the add items to list block appends each item to the end of the list. The app takes the text the user has entered in the question list and then the answer list or answer text boxes and appends each to the corresponding list. So you'll have lists question, answer, in other words. The add items to list blocks update the question list and answer list variables, but these changes are not yet shown to the user. All right, the third row of blocks displays the list by concatenating or joining them again with a colon. We already mentioned that. By default, App Inventor displays them looking like this, which is not a great way to look at it. All right, blanking out the question and answer. Recall from the President's app that when you moved on to the next question, you needed to blank out the user's answer from the previous question. In this app, when a user submits a question-answer pair, you'll want to clear the question text and the answer text. So we'll want to add these 2 things in here. Set question text. Whoops, sorry. we'll want to set our question text.text to the empty string and our answer text.text to the empty string. Let's come in and do that. Let's go and put in our empty string. And then let's duplicate this. We'll change it here to answer. All right, so now I think we've done everything that's been asked of us. Test the behavior by entering a couple question-answer pairs. When you add them, do they appear below the form in the question answers label? Let's check. Who won the 2017 Super Bowl? Question, answer. The New England Patriots. Submit. And as you can see, there they are. There's the question, colon, the answer. All right. So that works so far, so good in here. Let's check our time. All right, let's go a little bit further. Displaying question-answer pairs on multiple lines. In the app you've built so far, the question and answers are displayed separately. So if you were making a quiz on state capitals, it might look kind of ugly, something like this. This is obviously not ideal. A better way to display this would look like this. The technique for displaying a single list with each item on a separate line is going to be described in Chapter 20. As they mentioned, the task here is a bit more complicated because we're dealing with two lists. Because of its complexity, we'll put the blocks for displaying the data in a procedure named Display QAs, question answers, and call that procedure from the Submit button click event. So this will be the procedure right here, and you can see it is pretty big. I'm going to create that in the next lesson. But what does it say? To display question-answer pairs on separate lines, you need to do the following. We need to use a for each block to iterate our way through each question in the question list. Use a variable answer index so we can grab each answer as we're iterating our way through. Use join to build a text object with each question and answer pair and a new line, \n, separating each pair. So what we want to add is we've got this. We've got, oh, we haven't written any of this yet. So we're going to come in here and we're going to write this, and we will do that in our next presentation.